Hey, board gamers, BJ from Game Gumbo here, back on the breakfast. This time taking a look at Dungeon Scrawlers, Heroes of Waterdeep from WizKids Games. Let's get right to the table and see what it's all about. Dungeons & Dragons Dungeon Scrawlers, this is the Heroes of Waterdeep version. It brings back some nostalgia for me. First off, the production. It reminds you of being in junior high. It's got this kind of notebook there with lots of drawings on it. There's some drawings on the inside. This brings me back to discovering Dungeons & Dragons back in junior high. I like the way they carried the theme. What the game is it's a real-time game where we're going to take our little pens here and we're going to try to go through this maze. So if you like maze games, you're already going to be predisposed to this game. But we're racing against the other players as we go through the maze and try to score as many points as possible. There's runes that we're going to try to cover. There's monsters that we're going to battle. There's treasure that we're trying to find. And each one of these mazes gets progressively harder. There's always a new challenge, and that's one of the things that I like about it. There's these maps that look like this. There are other maps over here that you go through, and the whole time you're doing this, you're competing. Not only are you competing to try to get to the big bad at the end first, where you can score more points, but also there's a limited amount of coins that are available in the game. So as people are rolling through those coins, they're taking the coins out of the pot, and then at some point you're going to run out. So there's lots of competition for that. The puzzles do get more and more, and that's one of the things that is kind of a lagniappe in this game. I like how they've got these little keys that you'll have to use to try to find, to go through each one of the little steps, and maybe to try to get, sometimes it's actually to get through the board, you have to find those keys. There's also these little globes here that have different points, and again, there's a race to try to get those. But the biggest lagniappe that I love are these mini dungeons. This one, every time we've got a map that has the mini dungeons, I get super excited because this is a deck of cards that we're gonna grab and flip over when you get to that part of the map. And then at that point, you're taking your pen off of the main map and you're doing the little mini dungeon instead. And each one of those little mini dungeons is a cool, unique puzzle. It's going to start on one side and allow you to get through some of these symbols here to score points. And it's got exits on the other side that have different numbers. And each of those numbers are going to bring you to a different part of the map. So thinking through your turn, even though it's real time, you're still trying to look at this mini dungeon and figure out, okay, how do I get to the part of the map that I really want to get to? I need to focus on that with the mini dungeons. But wait, there's more. They also have character cards. And I've actually played all of the different characters. Some of them are a little bit more of my favorites than others. But what I like is that each one of these characters are going to give a special power. Maybe for the rogues, you just run through all the different treasures. The wizards allow you to go through the spells or the runes, I think they're called. And instead of having to trace them all, you're just going to roll through that. Barbarians, of course, one swipe and you kill the monsters. So as you can see, each time you play the game, if you play it with a different character, the game is going to play a little bit differently, and I like that. So you've got a great base game, just the race through the maze to try to get as many points as possible and try to get to the big bad at the end. But they've thrown in all these different little modules here with the mini dungeons and the keys, the coins, and of course each of the different characters that I really think it brings out a lot of replayability. This is well done. Dungeon Scrawlers has been a big hit for me and Jared when we play it. We played it a bunch of times when we're coming close to the end of the game night and we're just looking for something to, a good palate cleanser after we played a long Euro. We'll say, let's pull out Dungeon Scrawlers and get to some more maps. I mean, there's so many of these maps. They're all double-sided and each one of them has just a unique puzzle. This boat one here, for instance, this was one of our favorites because when you're going through these mini dungeons, the only way to get to all these different people are to go through and then come back out the other side as you get into these little mini dungeons. So trying to plot your way into taking out all the different areas, you almost have to keep an eye on the other players. So while some would say, oh, this is multiplayer solitaire because all you're doing is looking at your board, there really are some maps where you're paying attention to what other people are doing as they're racing through getting stuff that you might want first or maybe want to get before them to score more points. Hey, so that's Dungeons & Dragons, Dungeon Scrawlers from WizKids Games. This is the Heroes of Waterdeep. There's more content out there, and Jared and I have had a good time playing this, especially at the end of the night. It's really a good competitive two-player game. Until next time, Laissez, bon temps rouler.